This is a comprehensive solution to Cambridge International A-Level Economics, Paper 3-3, Multiple Choice, May-June 2022. Question 1. Which statement identifies the condition necessary to achieve Pareto optimality? The correct option is C. It is not possible to reallocate resources to make someone better off without someone else becoming worse off. This is the definition of Pareto optimality. The other options are incorrect. Question 2. The diagram shows a production possibility curve, LM, for an economy producing agricultural goods and manufacturing goods. What can be concluded from the diagram? C is the correct answer. The economy is productively efficient at point S. Any point on the production possibility curve shows productive efficiency for an economy. Option A is wrong. Allocative efficiency occurs when price is equal to marginal cost. PPC is not used to show allocative efficiency. B is wrong. A Pareto efficient point will be on the PPC. Point T is within the PPC and is therefore Pareto inefficient. D is also wrong. When the opportunity cost is constant, the PPC is a straight line. The private benefit of an activity is greater than the private cost. The social benefit of the same activity is less than the social cost. What must be true of the activity? The correct option is C. External benefit is less than external cost. Social benefit is private benefit plus external benefit. Social cost is private cost plus external cost. The question already considered private benefit and private cost. If social benefit is less than social cost, the external benefit must be less than external cost. Question 4. What is the central principle of marginal utility theory? The correct answer is C. When the ratio of the marginal utility of goods X and Y is equal to the ratio of their prices, consumers are in equilibrium. Equilibrium, under the marginal utility theory, is determined by the equimarginal principle. The principle states that the consumer is at equilibrium when the marginal utility of good X divided by price of good X is equal to marginal utility of good Y divided by the price of good Y. When the formula is rearranged, the ratio of the marginal utility of goods X and Y is equal to the ratio of their prices. Option A is wrong. As more is consumed of a normal good, the additional satisfaction gained decreases, not increases. Option B is wrong. The consumers are in equilibrium when the equimarginal principle applies. Option D is wrong. This is not also the equimarginal principle which is used to determine consumer equilibrium. Question 5. The diagram shows 5 budget lines. Line 1 is the original budget line. Which pair of budget lines shows a relatively higher price for drink compared with food after a move from budget line 1? The correct answer is option C. 3 and 5. A relatively higher price for drink compared with food means less of drink is bought, leading to a pivot from 1 to 3. It may also mean that food is cheaper, leading to a pivot from 1 to 5 because more of food is bought. Other options are wrong. The movement from 1 to 2 means food has become more expensive compared to drink, leading to buying less of food. The movement from 1 to 4 means more quantity of drink is bought because it has become cheaper. Question 6. Broken rice is an inferior good. What would be the resulting income and substitution effect on the quantity demanded of broken rice if its price falls? B is the correct option. Quantity demanded due to income effect falls, quantity demanded due to substitution effect rises. A fall in price leads to a rise in real income or purchasing power. The quantity of an inferior good falls when income rises. This is the income effect. A fall in price will lead to more units of the product being purchased in place of another product that has now become relatively expensive. This is the substitution effect. Question 7. Firms in a market decide to collude over the price that they charge for their products. What is not likely to be a feature of the market? The correct answer is D. There is a large number of competing firms. Monitoring collusion is difficult if there is a large number of competing firms. It is not A because having similar cost structures makes it profitable to collude. It is not B because there is collusion in oligopoly where goods are homogeneous or differentiated, that is, substitutes are sold. It is not option D because there must be high barriers to protect the market power of existing firms. Question 8. Firms often remain small even when growth could result in technical economies of scale. What is not a likely reason for this? C is the correct option. The entrepreneurs who establish the firms tend to be ambitious risk-takers. Ambitious risk-takers often try to increase the size of their firms. It is not a reason why firms choose to remain small. Options A, B and D are wrong because they are likely reasons why firms remain small. Question 9. The diagram shows the short-run equilibrium for a firm operating in a monopolistically competitive market. What is not likely to occur at the long-run equilibrium? C is the correct answer. The profit-maximizing price is greater than average cost. The demand curve and the average cost curve are tangent to each other at the equilibrium level of output. The price is not greater than the average cost. The price and average cost meet at that point. It is not A as the firm's demand curve is more elastic because substitutes or products from competing brands are available. There are low barriers to entry and exit. B is not the correct answer because demand curve of the firm moves to the left as other companies enter the market in the long run. It is not D because the price is above the marginal cost from the diagram. Question 10. In which circumstance would direct provision of a product by the government be least likely? The answer is B, when the demand for the product is very high but unit costs are low. When the demand is high and the unit costs are low, it is profitable for the private sector to provide it. There is no need for government intervention through direct provision. A is wrong because high fixed cost makes it unaffordable by the private sector, hence the provision by the government. C is wrong because barriers to entry prevent new entrants into the industry. D is wrong. The minimum efficient scale is the lowest point on the long-run average cost curve. It is the most efficient output level because the average cost is at the lowest level. This is where economies of scale can be fully exploited. The private sector cannot fully take advantage of economies of scale if demand is lower than the minimum efficient scale. Question 11. The table shows a firm's total costs corresponding to different levels of output. If the market price is $8, within which range of output would a profit-maximizing firm in a perfectly competitive industry produce in the short run? The correct answer is 5 to 6 units. The rule for profit maximization is marginal revenue equals marginal cost. In a perfectly competitive market, marginal revenue is the same as the price. Therefore, marginal revenue is $8. Then marginal cost is calculated by using the formula change in total cost divided by change in quantity. The marginal cost from 5 to 6 units is $8. This is equal to the marginal revenue. Question 12. What would encourage an increase in the number of small firms? The answer is option C, stronger government laws against the growth of monopoly. If there are stronger laws against monopoly, many small firms will spring up. Option A is wrong because more regulations discourage the establishment of small firms. It is costly to meet up with regulations, and it will be an additional burden on small firms that are already constrained by finance. B is wrong because banks find it more risky to give loans to small businesses because of poor track record. D is wrong because small firms can easily fail and tougher penalties will discourage their establishment. Question 13. What is not a source of market failure? B is the correct answer. Options A, C and D are sources of market failure. For example, option D, Non-excludability is a feature of public goods. Question 14. A government issues free non-tradable pollution permits to firms. They specify the maximum amount of polluting gases these firms are allowed to emit. In a change in legislation, the permits can be traded with other firms. Assuming that all other costs and revenues remain the same, what will be the impact on the profits of the firms that are now buyers or sellers of the permits? Option B is the correct answer. Profits of buyers of permits decrease, profits of sellers of permits increase. Buyers incur additional cost which reduces their profits, while sellers realize more money from selling their permits, thereby widening the gap between their revenue and costs and leading to a rise in profits. Question 15. What is an example of nudge theory when applied to encouraging healthy eating? D is the correct answer. Supermarkets putting fruit near cash registers. Nudge theory is meant to encourage a change of behavior without coercion, penalty, or economic incentive. People voluntarily embrace a positive attitude when things are presented differently to them. Putting fruit near cash registers is a non-coercive way of encouraging people to willingly consume fruit because of its health benefits. There is no need to use subsidies, taxes, or spend money on advertising. Question 16. What is a definition of transfer earnings? B is the correct answer. The minimum earnings needed to keep a worker in their current job. A is wrong. It is the definition of economic rent. C and D are not the definition of transfer earnings. Question 17. The chart gives information about the average daily wage rate for all industries in India. What could have caused this trend in wage rates? The answer is option D, an increase in the productivity of labor. Productivity is output per worker. Employers increase the wage rate if each worker produces more or becomes more productive. A is wrong because an increase in capital-intensive production means more machines are used to replace workers. The wage rate falls if the demand for labor falls. This is shown on the graph on the left. Demand for labor shifts leftwards, causing a fall in wage rate from W1 to W2. B is wrong as an increase in the number of industrial workers leads to a rightward shift in the supply of labor, thereby causing a fall in wage rate. This is shown on the graph on the right. C is wrong as a rise in the number of people without work will not put pressure on employers to raise the wage rate. There are many unemployed people who will be willing to take the wage rate even if it is not high. Question 18. The table shows the annual percentage economic growth rates of 3 countries from 2012 to 2018. What can be concluded from the table? The correct answer is option A. Brazil was in the downturn of its trade cycle in 2015. Downturn means decline in economic activities. There was a fall in real GDP in Brazil in 2015, minus 3.5%. B is wrong because the real GDP in Japan was not at its smallest in 2014. But the real GDP growth rate was at its smallest at 0.4%. C is wrong because the highest fall in real GDP in Spain is in 2012, minus 2.9%. Brazil experienced the highest fall in real GDP among the countries, minus 3.5% in 2015. D is wrong because Spain has a positive growth rate of 1.4% in 2014. It would have been negative if there was a downturn. Question 19. What could cause the official statistics for the national income per head of a developing country to overstate the true level of economic well-being of its inhabitants? The correct option is D, if there is extreme income inequality. National income per head is the average income in the country. It could be used to measure the living standard or economic well-being of the populace. However, national income per head could be high even though the bulk of the income is concentrated in the hands of a few people. Question 20. What is shown by the Kuznets curve? The correct answer is C, the rise and then fall in inequality as the level of income per head rises. The Kuznets curve plots inequality against income per head or GDP per capita. Question 21. Which type of unemployment is associated with a deficiency in aggregate demand? Option A is the correct answer. Cyclical. Question 22. There has been a switch in demand from goods produced by labor-intensive methods of production to similar goods produced using high-technology methods of production. This has led to an overall increase in unemployment. What is the best policy to reduce this type of unemployment? The correct answer is C. Subsidize products produced by labor-intensive methods. Subsidizing these products will reduce their prices and increase demand for them. A is wrong, as reducing income tax rate increases purchasing power. More of both types of goods could be bought. B is wrong, as an increase in interest rate on borrowing for investment will reduce investment generally. It will affect investment in producing both types of goods. D is wrong, because subsidizing exports produced by high-technology industries reduces their prices and increases demand for them at the expense of those made by labor-intensive methods. Question 23. What would not exist in a free market, open economy? D is the right answer. Indirect taxation. A free market is controlled by the private sector. The government is not involved in economic activities. In a free market, open economy, there is no government to impose indirect taxation. The components of this type of economy are households, firms, and the trade sector. A is wrong, as there are firms that undertake investment. B is wrong, because there are households in the model. C is also wrong, because there is a trade sector and there are imports and exports as the economy is open. Question 24. What is most likely to be found in an economy with a positive output gap? C is the correct option. Inflation. Positive output gap means that actual output exceeds potential output. Demand for goods and services is high, thereby making the economy to produce beyond its capacity. It causes inflationary pressure. A is wrong. Positive output gap means potential output is less than actual output or GDP. B is wrong, because more people will be employed to meet rising demand caused by positive output gap. D is wrong, as demand for more workers will raise labor cost. Question 25. Which statement about the Keynesian liquidity preference demand for money model is correct? D is correct. The rate of interest on long-term government securities is inversely related to their price. When rate of interest on government securities rises, the existing securities are less attractive or demanded, leading to a fall in their prices. A is wrong. Transactions and precautionary motives for holding liquidity are not dependent on interest rate, that is, they are interest rate inelastic. B is wrong, because demand for liquidity is perfectly elastic at low interest rate. This is known as liquidity trap. It is shown on the graph. C is wrong. Demand to hold liquidity by households is not stable. The factors affecting different motives of demand for money can change. Question 26. The table shows an individual's planned consumption at different levels of income. What can be concluded about changes in the marginal propensity to consume, MPC, and average propensities to consume, APC, as income rises? The answer is B. MPC is constant. APC is falling. APC is consumption divided by income, while MPC is change in consumption divided by change in income. They have been calculated. MPC does not change while APC is decreasing. Question 27. Which items in the table are classified as foreign aid? The answer is B. Foreign aid is an assistance in form of gift, loan, or grant. Only official development assistance is a foreign aid. Question 28. An increase in which factor will cause a decrease in investment spending? The answer is C. An increase in interest rates makes borrowing expensive and reduces investment. Options A. B and D are wrong. An increase in business confidence, company profits, and national income will increase investment spending. Question 29. The diagram shows the relationship between tax revenue and the tax rate. What is the curve on the diagram called? The correct answer is D. Laffer curve. Question 30. The table shows the rate of inflation, consumer prices index, and the monthly percentage rate of unemployment for the USA over a 6-month period in 2017. What can be concluded from this table? The correct answer is D. The rate of inflation has a marginal effect on the rate of unemployment. A change in the inflation rate has little or no effect on the unemployment rate. The highest increase or decrease in the unemployment rate is just 0.1%. A is wrong, as falling inflation does not always lead to lower unemployment. For example, between May and June, inflation fell from 1.9% to 1.6%, while unemployment rose from 3.8% to 3.9%. B is wrong, as an increase in inflation causes the unemployment rate to remain the same or fall. Inflation rose between June and July, but the unemployment rate remained the same. The inflation rate rose between July and August, but unemployment fell. C is wrong. There is no correlation or relationship between the inflation rate and the unemployment rate from the data. No specific pattern can be identified. Sometimes as inflation rises, the unemployment falls. Sometimes, as inflation rises, unemployment remains the same. The relationship is neither positive nor negative.